Well, hello everybody. Good morning from Jakarta, Indonesia. It's the FIBA Asia Cup, and it's a battle between India and New Zealand here on game day one, Group D. Later today, Lebanon taking on Philippines. We just had a gangbuster first day. We've barely just gotten over that, and now we're ready to watch New Zealand square off against India. New Zealand, boy, talk about young teams. I mean, this is like rewriting the record books. Both of these, this has to be one of the youngest games between two teams, the two youngest teams in the history of the FIBA Asia Cup. Average age of New Zealand, just 23 years old, and India, 23 years old. So, well, I kind of like it because I remember looking at some of these young New Zealand teams in the past. Certainly, they have thrilled, especially in 2017. I know they had a lot of young kids, and two members of that team still here. In fact, I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Mark Mills, and well, if we follow yesterday's example, we're off to a great day. But I suspect New Zealand are going to be way too much for this India team today.
Yeah, even though both teams are clearly, you know, there's a lot of inexperience on show at the international level, you have a feeling that New Zealand are slightly further on their development path, some of these players, than maybe the India players are. But it's going to be a great contest. You know, this is going to be a full 40 minutes. There's going to be no old bones running up and down the floor that you have to think about. They're going to get out and run and play some tough physical basketball. And like you say, if we can mirror what we had yesterday, we're in for an exciting day.
And number 99, head coach, assistant coach,
so as we look at Veselin Matic, veteran coach of India, and we're going to hear the national anthems for both teams, so we'll have a pause in the commentary for that.
We start with the anthem of New Zealand. Please remain standing for the national anthem of India. Please have a seat.
Well, just minutes away from the start of the second day of the competition, but it is game day one, and the tradition of New Zealand obviously is the Haka. We are going to witness the Haka here, the time-honored tradition that really kind of captivates the world. Let's check it out. So the Haka, the ceremonial dance in the Maori culture that is performed by a lot of New Zealand sports teams, men's teams, and it's always, I don't know, it's kind of spiritual, isn't it? It kind of gets under your skin and
if it
kind
doesn't
of
get you ready for a game,
an interesting way.
If it doesn't get you ready for the game, I don't know what will. And it's great as well that obviously the Tall Blacks have their own unique haka that they've created.
Takaki Kato, Budi Marfan, and Wissam Zain back today to referee from Japan, Indonesia, and Syria. And we'll get a look at the starting fives for both teams. We did have some interesting results from yesterday, which we'll talk about, but right now we'll focus on this one. Flynn Cameron, the youngest son of Peru Cameron, Cruz Piro Hunt, Toei Smith-Milner, Taki Ferguson, and Sam Timmins. Smith-Milner and Timmins are the only players that played in that team that finished 4th place 5 years ago in Lebanon. Darling, Meninga, Britt, Murray, Keel, Davidson, Hunt coming off the bench for Peru Cameron, and we'll get a look at Peru Cameron, and that is definitely not him. Where is he? He's hiding. Oh, he's got his back to the camera. That's why we're not going to focus on him yet. There's Max Darling, however, who made his professional debut at the age of 17 in Croatia. There's the FIBA Hall of Famer, Peru Cameron, who I have to say it's a slimmed down version of Peru Cameron. I mean, back in the day, he was a pretty big guy, and it's good to see him having that healthy diet, getting out there, and
it was part of his game back in the day.
So Sahaj Sekon, Muin Hafiz, Amritpal Singh, Prashant Rawat, and Pranav Prince in the starting five for coach Veselin Matic. Brigavanchi, the veteran, Nayak, Tomar, Aryan Goti, Muthu Krishnan, and Singh coming off the bench. And there is Veselin Matic. Has been around the block when it comes to national team coaches, coached at various spots, had various stops. I suppose most famously with Iran, where he won FIBA Asia Cup and coached in the big tournaments. Peru Cameron, of course, shot to fame, worldwide fame at the FIBA Basketball World Cup in 2002, when, in fact, all of New Zealand, the New Zealand basketball team won the hearts of not just New Zealand, but really all neutral fans by making it to the semifinals. Yeah, Peru Cameron was in the All-Star 5.
Yeah,
now in FIBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolute icon of global basketball. And if you ever get any time to chat with him, just such a basketball lifer. Just loves basketball, everything about it, so involved. And it's interesting to see now how's he going to coach his son in this roster. That's obviously adds a new dynamic to the coaching for him.
Coach him hard. That's what I say.
More than likely going to coach him hard than the other players, right? Never good to have your parents as your coach, I don't think.
India, I understand, you know, always great talent. The big question is, are they moving forward? I know that NBA Global Academy has been in India, but
I think it's definitely helped.
Suspended operations during COVID. They had to for a couple of years, and you just wonder about how the best way to develop these young, there's obviously a lot of raw talent in India, and you just want it to keep getting better and better, and hopefully it will. I know that Matic is a experienced coach, a fine coach.
Commentated on them over the last few years, and you can see the development. They're definitely growing. They're more competitive for longer phases of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform today, though.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Jakarta, Indonesia. It's the FIBA Asia Cup, day 2 here. It's game day 1, the battle between India and New Zealand. New Zealand winning the opening tip and attacking the basket to the left, and Flynn Cameron showing a move that I'm not even sure his dad would have had. Nice little runner.
Very different game style, very different types of player. Obviously, Flynn Cameron going to lead from the point guard position, while Peru Cameron, the bit more of a cultured big man, uses his size well back in the day.
He's got that California tan, University of California, Riverside. Singh dumps it down low, and nice work and getting it to Prashant Rawat.
And this is something I've noticed with the Indian development, and one of the key signs for me is their patience on the offensive end is much higher.
Oh, Cameron getting on the ground for the loose ball. Hero Hunt gets it over to Smith Milner. Hero Hunt plays at South Dakota. College basketball gets it to Sam Timmons. And the big fella goes up and misses with the left hand. And good defense by India.
This is what I'm talking about. They just, as I've seen them across the years develop, they seem more structured, more calm, more controlled about how they're playing. And it's paying dividends. You can see they're more consistent for longer periods in games, and ultimately that's the key. They have to play at their highest level for as long as they possibly can.
Singh goes right at Timmons and scores. Nice move by Singh, and now quickly to the other end. Hero Hunt gets it over to Ferguson. Passes out to Flynn Cameron. High arcing three, no good. And India rebound, throw it up the floor, and they're going to get an easy one with Hafiz.
And this is exactly the start India would have wanted. It will settle any nerves that this young roster will have had.
Cameron gets it, nice drive, and Timmons leaves it up on the rim. So India, and again, they dump it down low, and New Zealand get away with one there. That should have been another basket. But Sahaj Sekon is off target now from the right. And there he goes, Ferguson. Basketball family.
And the pace of this game is absolutely blistering in the first 2.5 minutes. Both teams, obviously, as we're saying, a young roster. Oldest player for New Zealand is Smith Milner at 26, so they're going to get out and run. This is going to be a really high-paced game.
Good pass again to second out. The drive is there. And Ferguson trying to guard Prince as he gets inside. So India make the first trip to the free throw line today for either team.
I think from New Zealand's perspective, what the issue they're having on the defensive end, there's a little bit too much separation. They need to be playing a little bit more higher intensity and closer. But that obviously relies on their two bigs of Timmons and Smith Milner providing that rim protection.
Prince gets the first one. He's a very thin. Interesting that Veselin Matic is not actually the coach that's up barking the orders, and I don't know, he mentioned before the game that he hadn't felt real well.
Yeah, I also think it's part of the process for him being involved is to develop the coaching staff within India as well, though, so they become a bit more sustainable going forward.
Good, solid rebound. Oh no, it stepped out of bounds. So instead of Matic out there for India, as we look at the replay again, Prince couldn't quite stay in bounds. It's Takanchan Malakal Chako. Followed by Smith Milner, who has really bulked up from the last time that I'd seen him play. Looks like he's been in the weight room. Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. Now, ball is from Singh short. Now Britt brings it up the floor. And Sam Timmons fouled as he goes up for the shot. By
It'll be interesting to see how much throughout this tournament they lean on the likes of Smith, Milner and Timmons. Obviously Timmons had a great Asia Cup in 2017, was actually 5th leading rebounder in that tournament with 8 rebounds a game. So they're going to rely on some of that experience as the younger players find their feet at this level.
Well, a lot of the New Zealanders have gone the college basketball route over the years, and that trend continues. Timmons, back in the day, played in the NCAAs, and obviously Tane Murray's just checked into the game, number 6. He plays for Tony Bennett at Virginia. Sam Meninga's going to come into the game shortly. Plays for Bob McKelvey Davidson. So those guys are getting some good experience, good education as well. Here's Timmons driving in and throwing it down. We saw him miss one early. He wasn't going to miss that one, was he?
No, and you watched him in the warm-up. It's clear that he wants to approach the game in quite an aggressive manner offensively, and that showed straight off.
Singh denied by Timmons. Here's Murray right off the bench. Wahoo! Wahoo wah. That's what they say in Charlottesville.
It's a way to introduce yourself to the game for sure.
Now the ball on the floor. Here comes Murray. And hustles down and throws it down on the break.
And that was a great hedge there by Timmons. That was the defensive play, hedged really hard, really early to create a cul-de-sac.
And you get it to the corner, and driving in and errant shot. Prince able to chase back and intercept the long pass. Sahaj second to Hafiz inside the Singh. And an offensive foul, and Smith-Milner caught something in, I think, in the face. May have got.
He's not a player to go down lightly either, Smith-Milner. He's truly the key. We want if you see
that was Timmons going in for the rim blocker. Put Mr. Singh on a poster with that dunk. Timmons. I didn't mention his college. He played at Washington. Then with New Zealand Breakers, Otago Nuggets. Very young team. And there's Pero Cameron.
Interesting to see the impact on Smith-Milner. He looks pretty shaken up, to be fair, as he heads to the bench. I'm sure they'll check him over.
Looks a little dazed, doesn't he?
That's a big elbow, though, to be fair, to take from Singh.
There's inbounds the basketball. Max Darling, excuse me, and the interception by Sekon. And driving down, and how about that? Darling just flies high, swats it, and then Murray is blocked from behind.
Both teams playing some good defense right now, leading the way on the defensive end, but that's just too easy. If they're going to go up, if Hafiz is going to go up like that, it's going to get knocked away 9 times out of 10. He needs to go stronger.
So Darling was the player again that turned professional at 17. I hope I didn't confuse him with Davidson. Max Darling, and he's on the wing, good shooter. I believe Davidson's getting ready to check into the game. Here's Britt. Oh, missed that layup. And here's Simonenga following up the miss.
Better for me from New Zealand, just putting a little bit more pressure on India as they progress the ball rather than giving them an easy ride over the half.
And good defense by Murray, but really kind of sloppy by India, not getting across midcourt before the 8 seconds.
And it's just that inexperience at this level, you know, not experiencing that kind of pressure and just kind of losing your sight of the shot clock. Those kind of things just come with veteran experience. You're almost having your internal shot clock ticking along as you're bringing the ball up the floor.
So Isaac Davidson has checked into the game. If you think you've heard that name in New Zealand basketball before, you have. It's just as Panina. So the Tall Ferns. Here is Singh with the rebound, outlet pass. Oh, good play, India. Hey, they're getting out and running. They look good. They look a lot better than anticipated.
Yeah, and transition is going to be key to India. It absolutely is. Yes, they can play half-court offense, but they look a lot more comfortable when it's free-flowing.
Meninga, oh, wide open. He can shoot it, but well short.
And I expect to see this small ball lineup from New Zealand quite a bit during Asia Cup, and it's how they use it to their advantage that's going to be key, though.
Prince goes behind his back, a little step back, and decides to pass it. Second. He passes it. They settle for the three. Oh, good try. Passing up some shots right around the basket for those three-point attempts with India. This is them in transition. Seven minutes into the contest, the All Blacks up, and Murray missing. Rebound quickly. India get it up past midcourt. And the miss. Now Taylor Britt. And Britt kind of zigzags his way in over to Darling. And oh my goodness, what a sweet stroke that is from the right corner.
Yeah, and it's again, Coach Cameron does this. He has his structure, and the players will just slot into that structure nicely. On that drive, he knew that he's going to have a teammate spotting up in the corner, and always had the confidence if he threw the pass there, someone would be open.
Pass down low, and good answer by Sekhon in India.
Yeah, they're working that backdoor cut really well right now. Paying dividends as well. They're getting points off it, and I imagine until New Zealand lock that out, they should keep looking that way.
And then it comes to set the high pick, and Britt goes right instead. Misses, and Ferguson and Cameron coming back into the contest.
That's interesting. New Zealand already, we're in the only 8 minutes in, they've already run through 10 of their 12 in their roster. And that's really exciting to see. The coaching staff clearly have confidence in every single member of that roster, and they're happy to bring them in as early as they can to get the minutes in this competition.
This India team doesn't look quite as, I don't want to say this the wrong way, naive as some of the past teams. They look a little bit more understanding of the game, but that three-pointer's short. Davidson gets in, out to the right corner. Cameron open up at the top. Ferguson with the rebound, and now he misses, but again, the offensive rebound by Menenga, and he's fouled.
And beautiful ball movement there by New Zealand. Again, just unselfish play, just moving the ball, thinking, is the next man in this passing chain got a better option than me? Obviously, Cameron not able to hit the three, but again, crashing the boards hard, going to get those second chance opportunities. And your comment on India, absolutely agree with you. They seem to be far higher basketball IQ team than we've probably seen previously. However, there's still, you know, you can see there's still development to be done on that team.
So Menenga makes the first. I suppose both of these teams would be hoping and expecting to get better as the tournament goes along. Menenga makes both. So Timmins comes back into the game.
I think for both teams and as individual players on both teams, this is a development tournament without a shadow of a doubt, both within the tournament and on the bigger picture. You know, as much as they want to push as hard as they can, and potentially I could see New Zealand maybe as an outside chance of trying to find their way onto the podium if they can come together as a team and individual players develop as the tournament progresses. But this is the bigger picture of how that extends out into future years for both these nations.
It's interesting, I was looking at Courtside 1891 last night, an app or the website, you need to get it, and there's a team preview with New Zealand as they get the steal, get in transition. Flynn Cameron, oh, he goes behind his back, and then a bump and a foul is called. And Pero Cameron was asking about, that they were asking him about his expectations, and he says, we expect to go and win the title. But then from people that I've spoken to outside or communicated with, they say they've got tempered expectations. A quarterfinal appearance would be good. Now, having watched China and Korea go at it last night, that would be a big ask, as well as Australia. We know they're going to be good. Here's Timmins. Good sharing of the basketball, and Timmins gets his second dunk.
I think for any All Blacks team that put on that jersey, the expectation is always to go and win. You know, I'm lucky enough to cover them at the World Cup. and you had that feeling. Every game they approached, no matter whether they were underdogs or they were favourites, they approached it in that same vein. I think, yeah, the realistic expectation, I think an okay result is a quarterfinal. I think that's what they should be minimum targeting. Anything less than that would be seen as a little bit of a failure. I think a semi-final would be a real boost for them.
Well, Ferguson for 3, and now New Zealand's starting to put a little distance between themselves and India.
And it's coming off the back of their increased defense. When they started the game, there was a lot of separation, both on the ball and off the ball. And you see now, that's disappeared, that separation.
Comes up with the steal and goes in for the layup. India launch it from deep. They battle away. Oh, God, the thing almost went in. And the big fella, Aryan, not able to put it back up and in. He's an intriguing player.
Yeah, he has everything going for him. He's definitely built to play basketball at the right level, but just some development like that.
Yeah, a little bit slow.
Yeah, and just reading the floor as well. He didn't need to overly commit to that drive. He just needed a flash and show himself to the drive to put it off, and then retreat back to his responsibility of guarding Timmins. But again, that all comes with experience, all comes with practice. Just 19 years of age. And what do they say? You can't teach height?
No, you can't.
So standing at 2 meters,
it usually takes the bigs longer to develop. And Darling gets it alert to how much time was left, goes up and not able to knock it down, but nevertheless, New Zealand turned it up a notch over the last few minutes and raced into a 30-12 lead over India at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, no real surprise, I think, from us that New Zealand are in charge, shooting the ball well across the board. They'll be a little bit disappointed, only 2 from 5 from free throw, but all in all doing a great job. They've increased the pressure as the quarters continued, and that's enabled them to get their lead.
Well, it kind of took a little bit of time for New Zealand to settle. Cameron did get this runner to drop, and India were doing pretty well. They were right there, getting some good looks right around the basket.
I think India are one of those teams where they do have offensive threats, but they need maybe a little bit more space than you're more than likely going to get at this level. And it showed, you know, at the start, New Zealand were giving them a bit of space, leaving the backdoor cuts open. But as soon as they locked that down, as soon as they played a little bit more pressing defense, India did struggle. They did struggle to get away with what they wanted. But you see, they have the talent, they have that ability. It's just consistency and also being able to put it on when they're under a bit more pressure defensively.
Yeah. Well, New Zealand scored 9 points off their turnovers. Well, that's the app I'm talking about. Download it, Courtside 1891. You get video streams, schedule scores. You know, you get like team previews, looking ahead. You know, different people talking about the prospects, looking ahead. You get Hamed Haddadi talking about New Zealand, why they're a tough team to play. You know, you mix it in. You hear from Andrew Gaze. You hear from a lot of guys. A lot of the legends of Oceania and Asian basketball. International basketball, there is nothing like it. And you know that these players from both of these teams know this is a huge opportunity as we start the second quarter in India with a mountain to climb now. And Sekon traveled. Smith Miller back in the game, the only player who was in the New Zealand Tall Blacks team that you watched at the FIBA Basketball World Cup that's here today. Entry pass to Timmins, gets it back, turns. Oh, that's on the way down. Good aggressive play by India, though.
And I don't mind seeing that. I don't think any coach minds that. When you see a goaltend where it's just pure hustle and someone going after it, then you kind of accept it. It's you know, it's a good sign. But yeah, it's interesting. Your comment about Smith Milner. In that roster, he was kind of the young kid almost. He was seen as the junior within that roster because there were so many veteran players, and now it's completely flipped.
Yeah, it has.
Within 3 years, and he's now seen as the elder statesman of this team.
Gives the wise counsel. How about Timmins throwing down another one? And he's fouled. 3 dunks.
I was going to say the box score doesn't count dunks, but Timmins would be a top 10 player on dunks for sure.
He wants to challenge Marquez Bolden for that honor. He's off to a good start today. Crowd appreciating, the New Zealanders appreciating that dunk, and Vesely Matic just sitting back and evaluating things. There again, scan the barcode in to get the courtside 1891 app in your smartphone. So I think New Zealand, it looks like, you know, they're going to be putting on a show today, and whenever the Tall Blacks get in full flow, they're fun to watch. For India, you know, they just want to put the brakes on this run. So here, let's see if we can hear the coach. I'm not sure the mic's all the way in there. Use your good lip reading skills. There you go.
The 5 you're playing, play on the center. Center को ऊपर खेलो.
जब ऐसे स्क्रीन मोइन को डबल किया ना, तो एक बंदा यहाँ मोइन से रिसीव करने पहुँचो, मोइन के पीछे रिसीव तो करो.
देखो इधर यथार्थ इधर पहुँचो.
रिसीव करो.
डबल टीम के लिए पास कर सकता हो. चलो यार.
मोइन के पास जब डबल हो रहा है तो.
Well, definitely, Vesely Matic is taking a observatory role in this game, because he was not even participating in that timeout. You know, he was listening.
Yeah. Like you said, he
empowerment.
Spoke to him earlier. I don't think he's feeling the best at the moment, so that will play a part of it. But I also do believe that part of the process for him being involved with the Indian national team is developing the coaching infrastructure as well. You know, people fixate on players, but coaches are absolutely critical to any national team program developing.
Well, Paul Hanari was the head coach at the World Cup in New Zealand, and Pero Cameron was his assistant, as well as Ross McMains. And now, I know Pero had actually gone for the job before to be the head coach, but now he's the head man, and McMains is the lead assistant. Jump shot off target, Hafiz. Seconds pass, batted. Here comes Davidson. Oh, nice pass. Nope, Smith-Milner decides to bring it back out. Ooh, dangerous. And playing hustles, but second, a little bit sloppy for New Zealand. And Davidson rebounds the miss again. Farrington. Oh, nice move. Puts it up.
And you feel like New Zealand are maybe wanting to kill this game early.
Rawat.
The other thing you often have with such young rosters, they don't care what the gap in the game is. It just feels like 0-0 to them. So the New Zealand team are just going to run hard for the full 40 minutes, no matter what their lead is, which is always, you know, good from a spectator's perspective.
Sam Tim is coming out trying to knock it away and commits the foul.
Yeah, it just hedged a little bit too late and ended up having to reach in to stop the drive past him.
So Pira Hunt and Meninga come back into the game. Timmins and Davidson goes out. Singh posting up, turns. Good rebound by Rawat.
And it's interesting. So for me, this lineup is really interesting for New Zealand. With Meninga coming in, not used to really playing that big man role. He'd much, I think, be more comfortable as a wingman, but it definitely gives them a different option. And you can see, I'm sure that Coach Cameron is keen to see what this small ball option looks like.
So Hafiz misses everything, and Meninga able to rebound it. Cameron, and another three-pointer for New Zealand. Go back and look at all the New Zealand teams from the past 2 decades, and you've got a lot of guys that, I mean, usually you got, you say 5 guys on the court that can shoot the three-pointer. Singh open, so puts it up.
Yeah, I think if you were to describe New Zealand basketball, it's kind of tough-nosed shooters. You know, it almost seems to be a prerequisite as a tall black that you come in and you have that kind of hard-nosed hustle attitude to you, but you do have to be able to step out and shoot the ball.
So basketball goes back over to New Zealand.
And this has been the difference. This is how New Zealand have opened out such a big lead early on. It's just they cranked up that defensive intensity. They didn't give India any space now. They've got nothing to work with, and India are struggling to create that space for themselves.
There's Meninga.
And that's what the small ball 5 gives you. It means you can play 5 out and spread the floor. And when the team against you is playing a 2-3 zone, that causes big problems for India.
Meninga shot at 46.7% from three-point range. Davidson last season. Here's the drive. And a nice finish from Arjun Krishnan. Hero Hunt, good rotation, follows up the miss. The push on by New Zealand and gives it back over. Good hands up on defense, Hero Hunt. The Brit goes behind his back. Cruz Para Hunt and glances it off the rim, and Darling does a good job of crashing on the boards.
He gets up high, doesn't he? And again, that's just a little bit of naivety, really, from one of the veteran players for India. Amritpal Singh, 31 years old, just needs to box out. As soon as that shot goes up, don't rely on your height advantage. Find that body and box out. That's the first point of call.
Three-point attempt, and that's Murray yet again stroking it from downtown.
And this is the other test for me for India, that mental resilience when you're down by, 31 points now as they are. Do they keep fighting through?
Three-point shot, this is everything. The handoff, and Meninga gets in and puts it up and in, scores easily.
There'll be tougher tests down the road for New Zealand as the tournament progresses, but this is a very impressive start for them.
Rawat goes up. Yeah, you wonder, is it better to play against a team that is overmatched in your first one to kind of gradually get into the competition, or is it better to go up like Korea and China last night and play like it's the title game, Meninga with the rebound?
I think it depends on the psychology of your players. Some players want that adversity, they want the tough challenge to kind of almost kickstart their tournament, whereas others, and particularly I think for a young roster, this isn't going to be too bad an experience for them. They're going to gain confidence from it. They're going to feel, that they're at this level and they're ready to go. It'll help them come together as a cohesive team unit, but it also, like you say, doesn't mean that they've been challenged. They don't know actually how good are we.
Yeah.
And that's something, at some point in this tournament, you find out, right? You come up against that brick wall and you find out, well, actually, that's how good we are. We've hit the ceiling of where we are right now.
So another timeout.
Hey, 2 points.
Let's go down to the huddle.
Scored this whole quarter. Keep that pressure on. Hey, that's good, but our standards and our lack of boxing out, got the big guy going against one of us, and then they got 2-on-1. Who the fuck's the box out? You can't have the big dude down there naked for 3 seconds as well. All right? into his legs, all right? Down on bottom when we double on the post. Get into them, all right? Our standards, we've got to be better. Keep working on that. The score doesn't matter. Keep working on those things. I know they only scored 2. We're still not up to point on our shit. All right, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Hold each other accountable. Oh yeah.
So when they played New Zealand and had that really positive, as you look at the replays of Menenga scoring inside here, when they played back in 2017, they started off against Kazakhstan and won that one 70-49. And then they were battled. I mean, then they went into, you know, I remember it like it was yesterday. They went up against host Lebanon in their second game, and that was a raucous environment. And you saw New Zealand really kind of grow up in that game quickly. Yeah. And won that one 86-82. And at that point, you knew they were going to be a tough competitor. Menenga gets it inside, can't quite get it to go.
And the thing you've got, that was a great timeout by Coach Cameron, just saying, ignore the score. The score's irrelevant. It's our standards. So they're now playing against themselves in their mind, which is exactly the right way to position this. We know how good we can be. Let's hold ourselves accountable to that in every detail. You know, he's like, I know they've only scored this amount, but we've got to stop them scoring at every opportunity. We've got to box out. And again, they haven't boxed out there. They've just relied on some hustle.
Danny Murray. Could be the second coming of Kirk Penny there. I mean, he looks like him too, doesn't he?
Got to get it up over the half. Just about.
Bounce pass gets away. Davidson, open floor again. Hands it off. Good sharing of the basketball. Good block coming from behind, but a foul committed. We often see Davidson doing well, don't we? Getting in the open floor.
Yeah, playing a real heads-up kind of player. Always looking to facilitate others, not necessarily looking for his score first. And as a teammate, that's what you always want, right? If you're going to get out and run in transition with someone, you want someone that has that disposition. The thing I found frustrating on that last possession was New Zealand had far more motivation to get out and run transition offense than India did to run transition defense. And that, for me, if I'm, you know, in the coaching staff for India, that's the thing I'm hammering home. I don't care what the scoreboard says. At no point in this game do we give up on it. No, you don't give up on any possession, and that's what they need to drill into them.
3-point shot, and off the iron. And the little jump hook. And Smith-Milner, I believe, swiping down on the basketball. Gets the foul.
It's interesting, you know, from that timeout, that was pretty much the main message, box out. And you can see here, there's no boxing out. They're just trying to get into a jumping contest. So that's certainly an area that New Zealand will have to work on, particularly if they're going to run a relatively small ball, which with the roster they've got, they're going to have to for a lot of the tournament. They're all going to have to collectively box out to secure the rebounds. Now, obviously, in this situation, it's not the end of the world, but there'll be close games that they have where that lack of attention to detail will cost them.
Good sharing of the basketball. New Zealand get it back. And you're trying to just get the basketball back from New Zealand, and it stepped out of bounds, so they will get it back. But right now, it's kind of 55-16. It's like they're going up against a tidal wave right now, India.
Just a little bit, and it's relentless. And the thing you've got as well is these players are all going to be fighting for minutes. They need to prove to the coaching staff that they warrant a starting spot or they warrant more minutes in the rotation, and so they're not going to take their foot off the gas. They're going to give it everything they've got, you know, for their own reasons, to get that spot, to get higher rotation order than maybe they currently have, or to be more of a focus through the offense. So don't expect New Zealand to really step off the gas pedal until way, way, way into this game. There's certainly plenty of entertainment coming our way. Smith-Milne is right there. He puts his hand up to say sorry because I was supposed to be in the corner.
Yeah.
I moved. That's my fault.
I was just going to make that.
But I love
that question.
But that's great for me. You know, that the team know that you're not passing to where someone is, just passing to where they're supposed to be. They've got an offense that they're running, and players need to be in those spots. Smith-Milne has not had the best of games so far today. He's just started a little bit rusty in today's game.
Saying nice turn, and again New Zealand crashing the boards. Saying commits to foul Cameron. And Rawat, instead of going for the basketball, he's got to find a New Zealand body there to box out.
To be fair, both teams have at the moment. It's just a jumping competition, which is it just ends up in fouls being called usually.
So the foul, Krishnan, and really it's, I mean, this thing got out of hand early, didn't it?
Yeah.
I did not anticipate it getting out of hand as quickly as it did.
No, it's another one, you know, after we had the day yesterday where there were a few surprises and there were some big performances, I think we've got another one here where we were kind of looking at the New Zealand roster, you know, at this level, a lot of unknown faces, unknown names on the international level, the senior age group anyway. And we're kind of like, well, I'm not sure where they're going to finish. Are they going to be contenders? But what we've seen so far has been really, really impressive. Clearly a good cohesive team unit. They've bonded well together. They know the expectations on one another. But they are going to have to wait for that big test. They are going to have to wait to see.
There will be more tests very quickly for this New Zealand team.
Yeah, the Lebanon game will be interesting in a couple of days' time, and then they close out the group stage with the Philippines. And again, you never know which Philippines team will really turn up. If it's the best of the Philippines, then that will be a good test for them.
No, I think Lebanon will be a very tough game. I've heard people talking about this Lebanese team as you know, a team that's going to get to the podium. So that's going to be. It's interesting that they play them second, just like they did 5 years ago. And there's going to be more experience in that Lebanon team.
And throughout the tournament, that's going to be the interesting thing. How does the inexperience of this Tall Blacks team impact how they play? Because when they get to those pressure moments in this free-flowing game, when you've got the lead, experience isn't a huge deal breaker. That doesn't really impact the game. But when things are tight, when it's, you know, those emotional pressure situations, when fatigue sets in, that's when experience really pays back. So yeah, that Lebanon game could be a real eye-opener for where exactly this New Zealand team are within this tournament.
And Meninga able to get across in time, and another 3 attempt, this time off target for Murray. Rebounds, runs, looks up ahead, gets it to Farrenson, and he puts it up and in. New Zealand probably going to surpass the 60-point mark here in the first half. And the good drive and the foul. So a chance for 3-point play for India.
And this is all part of the growth for them, you know, making those plays that will give them confidence and that experience of going up against good defenders, strong defenders, and creating that space to score. they're going to look at it, and it's going to be a tough half-time, you know, conversation in the locker room for India. You know, what do we change? How do we impact this game? But it's part of that bigger picture. It's part of the longer development process for them as a basketball nation.
So final seconds ticking off the clock here. Murray, another three. That's his third.
Near automatic, isn't he? Such a beautiful shooting form he has.
And New Zealand might get another basket. Cameron, pump fake, and there for the tap is Murray. So 64-21 in command, New Zealand. And for the first time, Vessel Max gets off the bench and really has a go at second after that turnover. I don't know if it's because he didn't hustle down to play defense at the end. Not sure what it was. But anyway, New Zealand with a stranglehold on proceedings. They're on top 64-21 against India at halftime.
That's a tough first 20 minutes of basketball for India. They haven't hit a shot from outside, and that will help them if they can get that going. New Zealand have just looked almost automatic at times in the game, dominating rebounds, 18 assists for their 64 first half points, 8 steals as well. Shows how dominant New Zealand have been across the board.
Scores, and again, it's all New Zealand here in Jakarta. So at the very start, Cameron got things going for New Zealand, and well, with the introduction of Australia and New Zealand to Asia, officially as Asian teams, to play at the FIBA Asia Cup in 2017, everybody knew that the competition got a little bit tougher. The battle for the spots, the podium, got a little bit tougher. In fact, in that very first year, New Zealand made it to the semifinals, as did Australia, and Australia ended up winning, and New Zealand fell in the semifinals to, I think it was Iran, and they fell to, just going back and remembering, yeah, they fell Australia in the semifinals, so that wasn't a good matchup for them. They got walloped, and then they lost to Korea for the second time in the tournament. But you pretty much know that with New Zealand, and definitely Australia, at every FIBA Asia Cup, that is going to be a big hurdle to clear for these teams. Yeah, it is. It's certainly the inclusion of the original Oceania teams into the Asia region now. It increases the level of competition, increases the competitive nature of the Asia Cup going forward. And for me, it's an absolute bonus. It seemed crazy that Australia and New Zealand were playing almost in their own separate competition. They weren't being challenged by some of the powerhouses of Asia, and this makes much more sense. But it's great to see. New Zealand have had a great first half. They've rotated through 10 players. Every player on their roster has scored in that first half. Already 4 players in double digits. You know, winning the rebounding battle, 18 assists. Maybe a little bit of frustration, 7 turnovers. Cameron might not be happy with that. But all in all, a phenomenal first half for them. And although India aren't the strongest competition necessarily for them, it still sends a bit of a message out to say, yes, we might have an average age of 23, but we're still here to contend. You know, that might be a bit bravado in the pre-tournament press, saying, you know, we're here for the top spot. But I think they truly will be more and more confident off the back of this performance in the first half that they can make a push for it. On the other side of it, India, they're further kind of behind on their path of development. This is part of a much longer process of turning India into a basketball nation. You know, we clearly know that cricket's the #1 sport, but we were lucky enough to be there, both yourself and myself, a couple of years, 3 years ago now, for the Women's Asia Cup, and it's growing. You can see that there's interest in basketball with the NBA Academy there, but these experiences will help.
This is a young roster. This, you know, this Indian roster will be around for at least two or three more Asia Cups.
Who will you become when the moment arrives and you're carrying the expectations of an entire nation, representing your people and their dreams, the colorful faces in the streets, the screaming fans in the stands? It's time to make your move. All eyes on you, all hope, all heart. Because when you win for all.
Swaki drives in, and Guari gets the rejection. Altarazi, quick pass, oh, beautiful handoff, nice play, beautiful bounce pass.
Yeah, Hamuda there just reading the play perfectly, the timing as well, he waited.
Oh, the rejection, wow. Bang coming down and not in my house. Altarazi puts up a three, banks it in. I think he was trying to get a foul. I think he knows the contact is coming, so he goes up. And he gets it off the glass and in. Saudi Arabia now being aggressive and coming down with the basketball. That was Al Marwani. And then he gives a bounce pass. And Al Marwani, the other Al Marwani, throws it down. Oh, nice handoff. Javier gets in on the act. An unforgettable night in Indonesian basketball. Reyes gets it back. He's got to make that shot though into Al-Dwari, and then he is blocked by Maker as he goes up for the dunk.
That's a great block from behind. It's such a difficult skill to get the timing.
Just under a second left, and they do get the jumper off, and it's good! Wow! And guess who it was? Liu Chun. And Chinese Taipei leading it. Spins, gets down the baseline, puts it up and throws it down. Al Marche just looking up at the big fella.
And that's what he brings from that athleticism and just the aggressive move to the basket.
Alley-oop, oh, Baldwin goes off, flushes it. He wanted the and one.
That is a big play.
Well, Tane Murray, 13 points, 3 of 6 from three-point range. He is the leading scorer for New Zealand at halftime in this runaway contest for New Zealand. Still got 20 minutes to go, and I'm not sure, Mark, as we look at the top scorer for India, it's Arvind Krishnan with 5 points. I'm really not sure what New Zealand can learn from this game.
No, I think as a team now, they've probably learned all they can. What they'll do, I imagine, and Coach Cameron will do, is look on different rotations. We've already looked at, he's looking at that small ball because they can get out and run and be maybe a little bit high pressure, play 5 out offensively. There's things like that that he'll learn from that. And then it's down to the individual players. It's for them to get into that rhythm of tournament basketball. And like I said, there's a selfish element to every team. They want more minutes. They want more focus on the offensive end. They want the ball in their hands. This is their opportunity for them to claim, a space or higher rotation space. And on a bigger picture, this tournament is an opportunity for these younger New Zealand players to potentially take some of those roster spots at the World Cup next year. This is a big shot window for them for the national team program.
Well, they got to qualify first. I mean, I think they probably will qualify.
They were looking good. So their qualification campaign has gone well so far for the World Cup, and they were looking good. But again, similar to their near neighbours Australia, they have a real depth of talent that they can rotate through different players. So qualification windows are a lot easier for teams like New Zealand to deal with. Even during pandemic times, they were able to rotate and find junior players.
And they already are playing as hosts, but I guess FIBA, in terms of the overall grand scheme of things, the competition of the 32-team event, you need to be competitive enough to make it, and they want to see that they can do it. I think there was didn't Great Britain also, they had to prove to play the Olympics 2012 in 2012 that they had to get up to Division A. Yeah, they had to qualify for Eurobasket. That was the prerequisite that was put to them for 2011. Obviously, they made it for there, and Indonesia made a big step forward yesterday, and wow, what an atmosphere we had for that game as well. Obviously, Bolden grabs all the headlines as well as all the dunks. I'm just looking at it. and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should put my FIBA hat on here and say I shouldn't say this, but in a way, as you look at the Asia Cup, you want all that information to read about Bolden, New Zealand, India, everything else. Download that app in your phone. Use the barcode. On the one hand, you could say, hey, they're taking a shortcut by bringing in Marquez Bolden, who is probably better than anybody that's ever put on the Indonesia uniform times 10.
Yep.
But on the other hand, you know, you can see his teammates raise their level.
Absolutely.
And get the fans excited. And I think that, I personally think that's a great thing for basketball, because also the way that he was dealing with it and the way that he was kind of shepherding the young guys. And so that's a good influence. And we've seen some great naturalized players over the years do things for national teams. So the second half action underway. New Zealand in command against India, and coming into the game for New Zealand. Actually, no, they've still got Hero Hunt, Cameron, Farrington shooting that shot, Timmins and Smith-Milner, and now India trying to get down the court. Hafiz, Rawat, also Prince still out there, Singh, and Sekan. So Sekan he took a tongue lashing at halftime, but he wasn't sent home after that, although it looked like Mattis was about as mad as I've ever seen him. Farrington misses and gets on the ground for the ball. And able to pick it up in time. Hero Hunt from downtown. And the South Dakota Coyote misses, but Flynn Cameron has it once again. Farrington, quick pass. And Cameron with the turnaround has it blocked.
Defensively, a much better start to the second half for India. But again, you know, like New Zealand did in the first half, they've increased the intensity, but they've got to keep that going for longer periods of time. And that's Timmins going to get blown for that foul off the ball.
Cameron and Ross McMains. One thing about New Zealand at the last World Cup that we saw, of course, only Smith-Milner was there. Boy, they were a high-scoring team, weren't they?
Yeah,
they got out and ran.
They were really enjoyable. The brand of basketball, the kind of identity that Tall Blacks basketball has, is an entertaining one. It certainly is. You know, I covered a couple of their World Cup qualifiers in the recent window, and they put on a show.
Farrington, short. Singh for three. How about that? Make those nets sing.
I like it. Big man steps out rather than getting into a body fight with Smith-Milner. Steps out and hits the three. It's a smart move.
Timmins a little bit long with that. Well, Sam Timmins, I was thinking about him the other day, and the last time that I'd seen him play for New Zealand was, I could be wrong, but it was at the Asia Cup.
Yeah, I think it possibly would have been. He might have been involved. He's been involved in the World Cup qualification campaigns, but tournament basketball, yeah. I think it's was the Asia Cup in 2017.
Of course, he was part of that FIBA 3x3 under-18 World Championship team in Hungary with Matt Freeman, Ty Wynyard, and Nneka Makola. Oh boy, Prince just completely lost the handles, but then Rawat gets it back, and India get a layup. That went from disaster to 2 points. Kira Hunt missing, and Singh throws it up the floor. Second whips the pass back over to Hafiz. And Rawat with the rebound is blocked by Timmons.
Timmons is working so hard at the moment to fight Singh on that defensive board, and he's doing a great job.
Here goes Team Murray. Beautiful drive by Pero Hunt.
Was that just that little shoulder shake from Pero Hunt?
Excuse me, not Pero Hunt, it's Pero. Yeah, Pero Hunt. Sorry, there's also. What am I? I'm confusing myself now. Jackson Jordan Hunt, also in the team. No relation. Ball goes out of bounds.
And these are the mistakes that India need to work on. They're just unforced errors. There's a lack of cohesion. They're not sticking to their offensive structure that's clearly been outlined by the coaching staff, and that's where the mistakes happen. You know, the reason that New Zealand are making less mistakes is because they're sticking together as a team and they're running the structure and the offensive focus that's been laid out for them. For India, it's key that they do that.
Canterbury Rams point guard Taylor Britt back in the game. And that air ball, here comes Britt. This time gets it back to Menenga and gets it to drop.
And I like that structure from New Zealand. They're running a 5 out. Even Smith-Milner was in the corner, wasn't going to leave the corner. He was waiting for that pass, spotting up. And that causes issues when they're playing teams like India, who have a really old school legitimate big who doesn't want to be playing perimeter defense.
Singh with the bounce pass, but they're not going to get it off in time.
Yeah, just a couple of seconds too late. It was actually a good cut to the basket. It was a good pass. It was just the wrong side of the shot clock.
And Murray fumbles it but gets it back. And now the whistle blows, and they're going to check something at the scorer's table. You know, talking about Menenga, you know, there's a rich tradition at Westlake Boys High School of turning out tall blacks. Were you aware of that?
No.
Yeah, and
he's
one of many.
Is he?
Our friend Mike Lacey gave us some really good information on some of these kids, some of these men. Kirk Penny, obviously, Jared Kenny, Tom Abercrombie, Rob Lowe, Corey and Ty Webster, Jack Salt, Isaac Latoa. I mean, that is big time.
It's a factory.
And Sam Menenga, and the drive from Taylor Britt. Taylor Britt at the high school in Christchurch, Papanui High School. Not that long ago, remember, these are young guys. And a three-point shot, and that's not going to count because the whistle had already blown. Darling and Davidson coming back into the game. Smith, Milner, and Cameron going out. How long will it be before we see Davidson once again catching the ball around midcourt, racing down on a fast break and dishing it to one of his teammates?
Yeah, I don't think long.
I'll give it 50 seconds. Here's Murray, another three, rattles out. Comes Murray, baseline. Looked like a good shot, but it was short. Here's on the break. Good job by India. We've seen that several times today.
Yeah, they're very good in the transition. If they can get out run, someone often leaks out.
And Davidson has it taken away. A little careless. And again, the 3-on-2 break. And what about that? How about that? Krishnan fouled, and he will go to the line. So we're seeing in spurts, especially in transition where they're excelling, giving themselves some opportunities.
And this is the key for them. Transition is such a big part of their offense that's great. You know, it's an important part of the game. But when they get caught and bogged down in half-court offense, that's when they seem to struggle a little bit. But clearly, you know, as you've said and I've said, they're far improved on where they were before.
There we go with Davidson again. Maninga goes in, takes the punishment, and goes up.
Under 30 seconds. You didn't even need to give him 50 seconds. Under 30 seconds.
Pania is more of like the low post destroyer going up against teams. She's a real workhorse down low.
I mentioned their family weekends of basketball were fun. One-on-one games on the driveway.
I mean, basketball is a family business in New Zealand. So many brothers and sisters. And three-point shot is good. How about that for India? Coming to life. Prince. Tane Murray. And Rawat rebounds. And India have cut the deficit to 40. So still a long way back, but at least we're seeing some good play from them. Oh, Prince passes up a long one. Goes for the short one, and Britt now pushing it. Murray, oh boy, that ball's down and out. Ball goes out of bounds. So good job for India here, trying to give a better account of themselves.
Yeah, they lead this quarter 12-9 over New Zealand. I'm sure Coach Cameron there won't be too happy with that. He'll have set them targets maybe for each quarter or to challenge what they want to try and achieve. And India is certainly getting a little bit more opportunity. And it's interesting to see them hit that three, because for me, that's the easier win for them at the moment. Building a half-court offense that creates close to the bucket scores might be a bit more difficult. We see them get an 8-second violation, and they'll turn the ball over again. But I think if they can do transition and they can start, you know, creating some opportunities to hit from threes, that's going to step them up a level within this tournament.
Good job of playing defense by Taylor Britt.
And protecting the ball. 21st turnover of the game for India.
Murray was getting ready to go hard, had it knocked away. India playing some good D, quick hands. Oh, beautiful decision. Rawat doesn't finish, gets it back, puts it up, misses again. They stay with it, and then a push. And the foul called. So it's interesting that with India, Aryan, who only goes by the name Aryan, by the way, doesn't have a last name. Number 36. If you could take all of the India players, would he be the one that you would take and try to develop? There's Sekon.
To be honest, I think you look at a vast majority of this and they've got real potential to be developed into very good players. We were obviously having the conversation, is that something that at the moment can happen with India, or would they be better looking to go, you know, abroad into the NCAA system, or what would be the best process for these individuals? But the raw talent that they have here, you know, the physical frames that they have can absolutely be built on. If you listen to NBA scouts or NCAA scouts, they don't necessarily look at the playing ability. They're looking at
potential.
Yeah, what is the physicality they've got?
I'm going to tell you the potential of Aryan, 2.18 meters in height, 7 feet 2 inches.
Yep.
And he's only 19.
Yep.
So
potentially another couple of
inches.
Like
you said, he's a little slow, perhaps in his awareness, whatever, but given the right conditions,
can be taught.
If he's willing to work,
absolutely,
sky's the limit. What I don't know is when he actually started playing basketball, and that's something that we're going to have to find out.
But you've seen examples of that, you know, in other nations, like, for example, Klanarsson at Iceland. He didn't pick the ball up until he was way into his teens. He didn't pick up at a young age, but again,
yeah,
you know, 7 foot tall,
he was chasing sheep.
Yeah.
On the farm.
And that's no easy job. That's probably actually quite a good training course to grow up in a farm in Iceland.
Piro Hunt. Oh, he gets it to go. Finally, Cruz. Piro Hunt. Shot clock about to expire. They get the shot off in time. And pushing it quickly was Davidson. Britt runs the baseline, has it taken away. Very sloppy. Quite a few turnovers for New Zealand in this quarter. Should have said Hunt is actually in the game now. Jordan Hunt.
His first taste of the action.
Number 15.
India moving a lot more freely on the offensive end. Part of that is, you know, down to New Zealand not playing the same level of intensity as you see the shot from the corner get knocked away in the foul. But this is what I was talking about. They need to take some confidence. They need to take some positives from that second half, because from the first half, there wasn't a huge amount for them to take forward with them. And they just need to have some confidence going into the next two group games that they have. Win or lose those next 2 group games, it's just about building their confidence and gaining valuable experience for what is an exceptionally young roster.
Davidson just glances off the rim. You know, just looking at Davidson, also, if we look at India attack and try to keep the good times rolling, and they do not. How many? I wonder how many brother and sister combinations have actually made it to the senior national team in New Zealand. Going behind his back. Davidson back outside. Look at him pass it around. Britt for 3. Nice basketball. Here's the drive. Oh, nice drive indeed by number 77, Krishnan, who's been hooping and scooping.
Oh,
and
my
Britt almost. He's appealing for a goal interference. So at the end of 3 quarters, New Zealand still on top, but much better from India. But New Zealand lead it 80-35.
A much better quarter for India, for sure. They're outscoring New Zealand throughout, ending up down by just 2 in that quarter, though, but much better than the 9 points they were able to put in the second quarter. And this is what I was talking about. Hopefully they'll gain some confidence from that third quarter performance and take some positives forward into the fourth and into the rest of the tournament.
So as we look at the replays, New Zealand. Just trying to think, did they end up winning that third quarter, or was it India?
No, New Zealand won by 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So New Zealand came on strong, but again, much better. That was the highest scoring quarter for India. Gave a much better account of themselves, and also the lowest scoring quarter for New Zealand, just 16 points.
And that will be a combination of, you know, India stepping up and playing more their style of basketball, and a little bit of complacency setting in for New Zealand, which I'm sure Coach Cameron will be working on now in the huddle, trying to keep his team on track into this fourth quarter. But for India, the key for them is they need to get out and run. They need to be playing free-flowing, fast-moving basketball. As soon as things start slowing down for them, it becomes more of a problem if they get into the half court. They don't quite have that structure yet that enables them to create high percentage opportunities. So either transition or creating open shots from outside is the way forward for India. But it'd be interesting to see if New Zealand, you know, go up the gears on the defensive end again here in the final quarter.
I think you uncovered, you went to your slew skills and found something, I'll tell you. Fourth quarter action underway, and it's New Zealand in command, 80-35 here on the second day of the FIBA Asia Cup, going up against India. So how many brothers and sisters have ascended to the national teams of New Zealand? I don't know how many, but you uncovered another one?
Yeah, Fotu. We've got Ella and Isaac Fotu, so yeah.
Fotu, yes.
I do like that name. Yeah, I remember commentating on Ella actually at the Asia Cup in Bengaluru.
And Isaac, of course.
Yep.
Big part of one of the best tall blacks in town. And the drive, and great drive indeed it was for Prashant Rawat. Or no, excuse me, it's Prince. Pranav Prince. And that's another basketball family. Dan Fotu plays. So lots of backyard basketball, perhaps. Here we go. 3-point shot. Just in the game. Kyle. And the follow, and I'm not sure who got that. Was that?
It was Darling, yeah. Just
that was Darling, okay.
Yeah. Just a bit of stat padding there, grabbing a few rebounds to build out his box score. Yeah, it's, I don't think there's any better way to create a basketball player than sibling rivalry. You speak to any of the greats, and it's always the fights that they had with usually older siblings that made them the player they are.
Airball. Australia yesterday, we saw Sam Froling, his brother Harry plays, and both of his sisters, Keely and is it Alicia, I think. Yep, Alicia and Keely. So here is, oh, good defense by India once again coming up, and look at him race ahead. Oh, and doesn't score. Good break.
And India do look good in transition. You know, there's no two ways about that. It's just how do they create enough transition for them to be competitive in a game.
And again, second reaching from behind, hitting the ball, and it goes off of, well, it last touched him. Sparrow Hunt complaining that he was fouled. Shot clock about to expire. Cruz goes up, and the foul has been called.
Now every player for New Zealand getting some court time, and for me that's important. I like that Coach Cameron's done that. He's certainly shared out the love. No one on the floor has played more than 20 minutes in this game, and now everyone's getting a taste of the action, and that's going to be important because you don't know when you're going to have to go deep into your roster and how you're going to have to rotate through as a tournament progresses. And the last thing you want is a player coming off the bench in, say, a quarterfinal or a semi-final, having had next to no minutes on the floor up to that point.
Traveling, so just under 8 minutes remaining. India battling, just trying to feel better about themselves. And we were saying the same thing yesterday about, who was it? Was it Bahrain? I think it was. Who kind of did they lay an egg? I guess really it was more Chinese Taipei just really took it from them. But we're talking about how it's important for them to narrow the margin of their defeat, as well as Saudi Arabia and their loss to Indonesia. Because Jordan as well wanting to play well. So you still got a lot to play for here at the end if you're India. Trying to shorten that margin of defeat. Three-point shot, and it's good. I say that. I mean, if you suffer a defeat of like 30 or more points, when you get into a tiebreaker, whether it's head-to-head or goal differential, whatever, it's not going to put you in good stead, is it? Ball goes out of bounds.
No, it kind of kills your chances. You know, a 30-plus point defeat, it makes it so difficult in those tiebreak situations.
Krishna has been lively. Singh launches it. The shot clock about to expire. Now hustles back on D. Good pass to the corner. And the three-point shot is short. Krishnan races ahead.
And neither team, I know it's a blowout now, so the motivation to chase back and get on transition defense isn't great, but neither team have played transition D brilliantly today. I've been interested by the use so far, obviously day 2 now, of zone. A lot more teams using zone sporadically throughout the game to try and change things up.
Hey, another three-pointer for Flynn Cameron.
And Sekon looked frustrated as he hit that one, but he didn't chase the shooter hard enough. In the zone, you know, people see it as almost a slightly easier defense to play. It's absolutely not. You have to work so hard to rotate to the right spaces.
Good D by Kyle, reaching in. That attempt was short by Amarinda Nayak. Hunt launches it. Cameron looking on, analyzing what is before him, and I'm sure he's going to come up with some things that he's going to talk to his players about after the game and to work on. I mean, my understanding is, because I haven't seen Lebanon play much, but they played very well in the qualifiers, and that's a team that has medal aspirations here at the Asia Cup.
Yeah, I think so. Again, similar to you, I didn't get to see those games in the qualifiers particularly, but they seem to be, you know, expecting to be up there and competitive. And the one downside for New Zealand is, what have they learned today?
Yeah.
You know, they won't take a huge amount of learnings. There's a couple of little things, you know, Coach Cameron talks about boxing out, bit of transition defense, but there's not a huge amount that they can grow on. From this game, there's not a huge amount that they can correct, so they don't actually really know what their weaknesses are. And every team will come into the tournament with weaknesses, and the sooner you work those out and try and, you know, and develop those, the better, and they're not going to have that, whereas other teams who have had tougher games maybe will be a better version of themselves in game day 2 for them.
Davidson comes back in for Kyle. Darling gets it back. Good work by Hunt. Davidson gets it to Hunt. Oh, nice quick shot from Hunt. Davidson certainly knows how to find the open man. And
yeah, his vision is exceptionally good. He reads the floor really, really well. And with that Hunt score, that's 11 of the 12 the Tall Black roster on the scoreboard.
I'm surprised Davidson only has 3 assists. I would have thought he had more than that.
I think he's one of those players that also assists the assist.
Yeah, true.
You know, he's instrumental in getting things underway and seeing kind of those 2-3 chess moves ahead.
Timmons with the rebound. You're suggesting that as Davidson launches the 3, he's the Gary Kasparov of basketball.
He's going that way.
Basketball. Here's Britt, hands it off to Meninga, and he's fouled by Singh.
New Zealand with a pretty old roster on the floor now. 3 players that are 25.
Yeah, see some of the gray hairs out there.
To be 25.
He's front and back of the rim. Now the outlet pass to Britt, knocked out of bounds. Have you ever been to either of these countries? No, you went to India with me.
I've been to India, I've been to New Zealand. I've done the classic British thing of getting a motorhome, getting a camper van and driving around New Zealand.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't stick out the thumb and hitchhike at all then?
No, would you pick me up if I was on the side of the road with my thumb out? There you go. I'd have been waiting a long, long time. I'd have just spent 3 weeks on the side of a road in Auckland.
I went many years ago and had like 21 rides in 3 days. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
That was pretty presentable.
Yeah.
There's Sam Timmons, and Murray gets up and misses. Pass back outside to Murray. Short. Meninga rebounds it, banks it in.
And I like that both teams are still playing all the way to the end. There's 3 minutes to go. It's a 51-point ball game, but both teams still have that energy. And I've almost been more impressed with India because they seem to have picked their energy levels up a little bit.
Traveling, unfortunate for India, they had another layup there.
And it's just those small mistakes. There's so many of those little small mistakes that India have had today that have really undermined what they tried to do. 24 turnovers now. It's like that was the 25th turnover for India, and you know, at this level you just can't get away with that. You need those turnovers to be 10 to 15 at the most. That's where you want it to be.
Nice play. Hunt sets the pick, and then Britt, well, talking about turnovers, that ball goes out of bounds. 2.5 minutes remaining. A little hooping and scooping from Prince. That was royalty for India right there. Man, oh man.
And he's almost knocked it away and going the other way. Yeah, really good handle. Really smooth.
I mean, honestly, with India, it's a blowout, yet they are not going to be short of highlights.
No, and this is the thing that's frustrating. If you see a team get blown out and you're kind of like, well, they're just not at the level, then you're kind of like, fair enough. Whereas this is frustrating because you can see the potential that India have. There's moments in the game where they play at a good good high level, but there's so many small bits that kind of in between those moments that make it all fall apart.
Hey, that was a sweet stroke. Bundled to the rain, Mr. Hunt. So that was Hunt's first three. He had missed his first attempt, so he's now shooting 50%. And the basketball goes out of bounds, and with 1:36 remaining.
And it's those mistakes, you know, you look at the other end of the floor, we talked about it in the first half. New Zealand know exactly where their players are spotting up. It doesn't feel that way for India. They don't look to a corner or look to a specific point on the wing and know if they throw the ball there, someone's going to be there. And that's the mistakes that's costing them at the moment. They're not a cohesive team.
There's Hunt driving in, scoring, and he's fouled. I got a question for you as Britt goes to the line, and you might know, you might not, I don't know. How much training goes into doing the Haka? I mean, how much time is spent? Is this something that kids learn from a young age?
I don't know. I'd love to have had that kind of experience, though. When you look at it, some of the passion, and in particular at the front of the Haka today with Farrington, and just how he approached that. It's the absolute just raw passion, and obviously the origins of it is actually a warm-up. You know, it was for the Maori Warriors to warm up before battle. That was the.
Do you remember 2014, the famous in Bilbao when New Zealand went up and played USA, and the USA players were just looking at it, kind of like, what in the world is going on?
They've never faced anything like that before. Yeah. But they play. But the thing is, it's a huge amount of respect for that. You know, you see professional athletes across the world, they respect the Haka, what it represents, and it is an iconic part of international sport.
To the right corner. Kumar off target. Here's Tane Murray again, and Tane was hitting them, and now his shooting percentage has gone down.
Yeah, massively. He was almost automatic in that first half.
He's 3 of 11 now. Hunt misses. As a team, New Zealand are shooting pretty decent, though. Those last couple misses have taken their percentage down to 35.71%, and the basket is good for India. For the coaching legend Dean Smith, that would be acceptable. 35.71 from three-point range.
It'd be interesting if you'd be happy for them to be taking 42 three-point attempts in a game. That's a.
The game has changed so much, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Davidson. The overall shooting percentage for the Tall Blacks in this game down to about 44%, 44.5%. And India are going to hold on, not try to score that last basket. So, a convincing victory for New Zealand, which I think is what we anticipated. They actually reached the 100 mark. Didn't know if they're going to quite get there after the third quarter, but they do. New Zealand off and running at the FIBA Asia Cup in Jakarta with a 100-47 win over India.
I think the kind of game we were expecting, you know, New Zealand to be too strong for India. I don't think many people expected a 53-point win, but New Zealand did a great job in that first half. That's where they really broke the back of India, and they just finished it off strongly. A few things there for New Zealand, not shooting the best from the free throw line, crashing the boards hard though, 56 rebounds, 25 assists for their 100 points as well, not a bad ratio there.
So Meninga's 21 led the way, Murray with the 13, and Britt with the 12. So Murray didn't score in the second half.
A lot more rotation from Coach Cameron in that second half, though, making sure that his entire roster got some time on the floor, got bedded in, ready for the long tournament ahead of them. You know, aspirations quietly of quarterfinals, but maybe more realistically, they should be pushing for a semi-final position.
Saw some of the New Zealand faithful jump into the camera there. Hey, there's Farrenson, the man that led the Haka. And good win for the Tall Blacks. Predictably, how do they build on it? That's the question. So, best plays from the second half. And again, I think we're not going to be short of highlights for India. That three-pointer from Singh.
Yeah, no, they had some good plays. It's just the consistency and the mistakes that they make, the unforced errors. Because as much as New Zealand, particularly in the first half, put them under a lot of pressure and forced a lot of those errors, in that second half, the pressure was less, but they were still turning the ball over way, way too much to be competitive at this level.
So Menenga got it going and stroked that three. Taylor Britt saw some good play from him today in the second half. This is where, if you're the tall center from Indy, he even fouled him. He's got to be a better rim protector than that. But that's, you know,
it's
experience,
it's development. Yeah, it is. It really is. You're absolutely right. And it's just in that situation, it was just footwork. You know, it's just being positioned in the right place, like you're saying, taking the body contact. If you foul, how are you fouling? How are you wrapping the player up so they're not getting the shot away without an unsportsmanlike? These are all things that are part of the development process. But, you know, as we said in the build-up, average age of Indian rosters just 23 years of age. They've got some superstars in their midst. Kushal Singh, obviously, is one of the bright sparks for the future of Indian basketball. He's one of the under-16 All-Star 5 from the Asia Championships this year. So I think things are going in the right direction for India. I just think everyone would love it to go a bit faster, but I suppose that's the same with every developing basketball nation.
Well, this Tall Blacks team, I mean, it's, you know, they're always going to be in the reckoning. What they get out of their players on the world stage is really quite impressive in my eyes. Great. I mean, huge potential. And I don't know, you know, in terms of backing down under, you know, overall that it gets if they really got behind New Zealand basketball. The sky's the limit because they have got some serious talent, coaching, savvy. They play the game, in my opinion, the right way, entertaining. And these players are certainly talented players, and we know that there's a lot more talented players that are in the frame for New Zealand as well. So we don't know who out of this team is going to end up making, say, the World Cup squad, as you mentioned. But anyway, that's for another day. 100-47, New Zealand win it, and Philippines will be taking on Lebanon tonight, also in Group D. That game will be at 8 o'clock, so that'll be a good way to finish things off. So thanks for joining us, folks. 1 down, 3 more to go here from Jakarta at the FIBA Asia Cup.